I'm Jennifer, and welcome to 1,000 Women, 1,000 Ways. Our inspiring story today is by Robin and Patty, and their 30-year friendship has spanned a journey with cancer, and also they've built an amazing friendship without judgment. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Thank you.
How are you feeling?
Yeah, fine. Bit nervous.
See, a bit nervous.
Yeah.
That's it. You can hold hands because you're friends. That's what friends do, hold each other's hands. So, why did your friendship begin?
Almost 30 years ago, we met through our husband's work. The friendship just gradually got stronger. And
It just developed.
we neither of us had family in Australia, so we kind of became our family.
You became sisters.
Yes.
Yeah, and even though, Pat and Archie lived down in Narving and we were in Perth, but the distance didn't matter, did it?
No.
It just, and Pat still, Pat lives in Boddington, but we still, we talk to each other each week. Sorry, coaching up.
She's got grandchildren.
So that's about 2 hours from Perth? Is that right?
Yes, it's about 2.5
Yeah.
from Perth.
So how often do you see each other?
We speak just about every week on the phone, but there can be like 6 months maybe between seeing each other sometimes.
Yeah, and we will have seen each other in the last month 3 times. Pat's come up a couple of times and we're going down next weekend. Sometimes we can go for a period of time that we don't catch up, and then it just happens, it just happens. But we try to go away for a weekend together. At least once a year we like to go away for a weekend together without the guys. Yeah. So just, girls.
What do you think the connection is? What is it? So, Patty, what is it you like about Robin in your friendship?
I think she's just
and honest.
I think she's just a lovely person. She's an exceptionally good friend, and not just to me, to all her friends. She is a good friend. I think she just enhances my life. I think she has always enhanced my life.
Thank you. Yeah. For me, it's just, I don't know, it's unconditional. Everything about Patty with me is unconditional. And I know that I can say something to her. Again, it's not judgmental, but she gives me honesty. And there's not a lot of people. You can have a lot of friends in your life that you can talk to, but they say what they think you want to hear. Whereas I often sort of say that I love Pat more than my sister. You can't choose your family, but Pat's my family, and you can choose your friends to be your family. And I love my family, I love my sister, but my gosh, I share things with Pat that I don't share with anyone else.
I guess it's a gift you're giving to each other, that if you can share things like our darkest moments, our darkest fears, without that fear of judgment. Because with the judgment, you step back. Oh, it's not safe. It's holding that safe space for the other person, isn't it?
Yeah.
To be able to express themselves without judgment. And do you feel that's where the clearings happen, where the clarity comes, because you've been allowed to express yourself?
Oh,
like 100% clearly.
Absolutely. I went through some stuff. Yeah, we all go through stuff, and I knew that I could run away. I knew I could run away to Pat, and I ran away to Pat, and I would tell her my biggest fears, and she would say, but hang on, it's okay. Let's talk about this, and she would give me a totally different aspect on it. I could quite easily just go back knowing that it was okay, and that my fears were real fears, but Patty had allayed them for me.
Almost like diffuse the fear or the pain, and giving you a different perspective to look at it. And then send you back out to be able to cope.
But we do that for each other. Whatever stuff we've been through in 30 years, we do that for each other.
So I'm hearing a really strong sense of honesty. And if you can reach that honesty with yourself and then with another person, then it does make life much easier.
I was just so blessed. I'm so blessed to have you in my life, both of us.
Do you think that often we'll put on an image, especially as mothers, to say that it's all wonderful, when sometimes, often it's not. Of course we love our children, of course, but there's moments when we just had enough and we need that time out, we need to go to our friends. But I think that's one of the probably most poignant points where women won't say it. Look, I've had enough today and I'm not kind of liking them. I still love them and I may not like my partner right now either.
And it's so important. It's so important to have somewhere that you can run to.
And I also think that when you're going through stuff, you're not actually thinking as well as you should because of the stress, and the other person can, give you a different side to it that you're probably not looking at.
In a highly emotional state, we can't see the wood for the trees, can we?
Yeah. And everybody goes through, going through lots of similar things, but at different times, not always at the same time, so it's...
But we seem to have an understanding.
Yes.
We understand, we know, I know where Patty's coming from and she knows where I'm coming from.
So it sounds like you wouldn't have disagreements or arguments.
Only about weight loss. Not really.
I don't think we don't have arguments. I don't think we've ever had an argument. But it doesn't mean we can't be honest. And say what we really think, and it doesn't always have to be what we want to hear. I know that's coming from her. She's giving me really good advice.
It's that intent. The intent is to speak your honesty and speak your truth to help the other person,
yes,
rather than to make them go left or right because you think that's what's better.
Or not just say what you think will make them feel better in the moment.
And it takes a special kind of woman to be able to do that in general in life, but to have two of you to do it and someone, it's almost like, to literally play together in this open, honest forum.
But we do play together.
What do you do for play?
And I went to New Zealand for a family reunion and I said to Pat, look, my hubby was going to be with me for 3 weeks. We were going to be there. And I said, look, he's leaving on the start. Why don't you come? And we had so much fun. We went parasailing together. You can do something together in Queenstown. And what we were saying before, we had runny noses and our hair was all
and it was filmed. They give you a video of it when you come down and giving you a video, and it was a lot of fun.
It's a shame actually because since the earthquake, we were lucky we were there just before, a couple of years before the earthquake. But I said to Patty, what can we do tonight, And you could do a ghost tour in the arts centre. Oh my gosh.
And it was pouring with rain. It was the one day we didn't get much rain, but that night of the ghost tour, it was absolutely pouring, and it just added to it.
I remember how he was dressed. Yeah. He had the big, he had the top hat on and the big long coat and those dirty great big boots that he had on, and he spoke in this absolute droll voice. And when you walk through and someone touched you on your back.
Do you have, twins can have an intuition, they know when something is going on with the other one? Do you have that?
I'm not sure that I would know from a distance. I know when I'm with Robin. Yeah. But I'm not sure whether I would know
sometimes I'll think, I've got to ring Patty. And I pick up the phone and ring her. But I'm like that anyway. I tend to pick up things from other people. But I do, there's been a couple of times that I've picked up the phone and rung Pat and said, hey, is everything going okay?
This leads us beautifully into the moment when you were diagnosed with cancer. And obviously you had the support of your family and your husband, but you also had your amazing friend Robin, where you could say anything to, which I would think vitally important when you are going through something like that.
I think you rang me before you even knew. I think you rang me and told me that you'd found some lumps.
Yeah. No, I don't think I'd been diagnosed when I phoned.
No, I knew about it. I knew you were going down. I knew you were going to be tested before you rang me and you said, I woke up.
Well, it turned out to be that it was cancer, so we were talking on the phone and I just dropped it.
And how did you catch that?
I started to cry. And I did. I don't know whether you picked that up, but I started to cry. I thought, oh no. But I'll be there.
And we went out for dinner the night before I had the operation.
Yeah.
And we were having a laugh. And the four of us, the husbands as well. And Robin said, and I told them what they'd told me that day, that I would lose my hair and things like that. And I wasn't worried about that. And Robin says, when you lose your hair, I'm going to shave my head.
Right, so it was like a pact from the beginning.
And I said, no, don't do that. Don't do that. I'm not what I would do. And she says, I'm going to shave my head and raise money for breast cancer, and she did, and raised a lot of money because she raised over 18,000.
18,500.
Yeah,
in a very short
space
space
by
of
itself. How did you feel, like in that moment when the specialist tells you you have breast cancer? What goes through your head?
It was actually my doctor that told me, but I think you go through all the scenarios of what could happen. Once I'd done all that, I decided, well, I can't do anything about it. I can only go with the flow. I'm not going to let it affect my life, and I'm just going to keep going, and just look towards the end of it. And so from then it wasn't difficult, really. But I think you do go through all the, what if I'm one of the ones that don't make it, all that type of thing.
You came across as being so strong and so positive. The thing that stands out for me is that she always wanted to walk. Pat loves walking, and Pat will walk in the morning and she walks at night. And I can remember her saying to me that she had said to the specialist, is it okay to walk? And this is such a lesson for anyone that's got cancer. And he got excited, didn't he? And he said, do you want to walk? And she said, well, I always walk. Am I able to walk? And he said, when you feel the worst, walk. And I think there might have been 1 or 2 days that you didn't walk. And the walking, it's so good for you. It must, it's got to get the oxygen flowing, and it's so got to help with the healing.
And it sounds like you were very positive about it from the start. You didn't dwell on the negative side. Your positive mindset and the walking, well, probably some days you can imagine you just didn't want to do it, but something in you gave you hope. Was it the hope to keep going?
I don't know so much it was hope, but everybody that goes through that probably is faced with the same thing. There's absolutely nothing you can do with it except go with the flow. You have to just go with the flow. So for me, I was going to focus on the end of the treatment. So every treatment was closer to the end. When I got to the halfway mark, that was exciting because it was on the downhill run, that type of thing. And I think that being positive is actually helpful, because I think if you're stressing and worried about it and stuff like that, it makes it worse. I think it can actually make you sick.
I think it takes your thoughts into more of a negative place through the stress and the worry of it.
But I had done all the scenarios, of maybe not, what's going to happen. But then I decided that even if that did happen, I was going to enjoy what time I had. But it's fine. I'm fine. So I got through it all and I'm fine.
And were there times that you had thoughts or feelings that you couldn't talk to anybody about except for Robin, like in the deepest moments?
No, I could actually talk to my husband about that as well, but there are lots of things that I can talk to Robin about that I couldn't talk to my husband about, that she would understand, that she would listen to.
Archie was fantastic, I often said to Paddy, he loves you so much. And he must have been going through his own fears, and being frightened that it was going to go the other way.
He sounds like a wonderful man.
Yeah, he's a man. But he was very supportive, and he's not a patient kind of person, so he doesn't like wait, and he did go to every chemotherapy with me, and the first one was 6 hours. So for him to just sit, that was huge for him.
And that was him showing his love and support for you.
And he went to every one of them and sat through it.
It's funny too, because he is on Facebook, and posts, funny things on Facebook, would never, before this, never posted anything about breast cancer at all. Since Pat was diagnosed, he posts about everything that comes up about breast cancer, he shares it.
And that's the impact it's had on him, and that you survived and came through it.
We laughed a lot about it, and I think that was important. We got a laugh out of whatever bit we could get a laugh out of.
Yeah. Laughter's the
When
best
you
medicine.
laugh,
yes.
It is, when all else fails, it's like laugh
Yes.
as much as you can. And what was it like going through the chemotherapy? What is it like to have a treatment?
I didn't find it bad at all. I was quite worried. Anything that I'd known about it from years before, it looked horrible, and I just didn't know what it was going to be like. It's actually quite easy. I only had a couple of days when I felt not very well after it. Not everybody copes well with it, but it was fine for me, so I didn't have a bad trot with it. I was glad to see the back of it.
Yes, not a welcome friend, but a friend at the time. So do you think your positive attitude helped with how you dealt with the treatment as well?
I think it does. Some people can't, but there are other cancers that are far worse than breast cancer. And for me, I think I just made up my mind that whatever way it was going to go, I was just going to not so much pretend that I wasn't having it, but I couldn't change it. That's the one thing. There are some things you can do. I couldn't change my diet or do something else, take some medication or do something that would change it. It was all going to happen, and somebody else said that to me. Another person down where I live said that you just get on at one end and you've just got to go right to the other end. You can't. It just
It's like being on a roller coaster, isn't it?
Yes.
You get on it and you can't get
You
off
can't
it
get
until
off
it
it.
finishes.
Till you finish it.
Is it that point of acceptance then, like you're saying, that you knew you just had to go on the journey, whereas perhaps if you hadn't accepted it, it would have been a tougher ride?
Oh, I think it would have been very tough if I hadn't accepted it, but it was what it was, and I just decided that I was going to not let it affect me as much as possible, and always looking for the end, not what was happening throughout, but that end date.
Yes.
And I could have danced.
What is it like in the treatment room? Are there a few of you in there together?
Well, I had my chemotherapy down at Albany. It's quiet. I think there was 5 or 6. They're like huge lazy boys, really. They put a cannula in, and the stuff just slowly goes in. While you're lying in comfort, you have a TV. I did puzzles all the time. But the treatments can vary in length of time, and not everybody copes with them. But I think it's probably some of the other cancers that are maybe harder, because they're having different stuff that maybe makes them feel worse. In the treatment room, the nurses are fantastic, and there's actually a lot of laughter in there.
I was going to ask you, what is the atmosphere like in there?
It is quiet, but it tends to be, if there are things said that can be quite funny. I think you have to just laugh at it, really. I mean, you just have to laugh where you can. Robin and I'll tell you something that the night before I had an operation, and I was going to have a breast taken off, and we'd been talking about weight loss, and my husband turned around and says, and remember, he says, that boob doesn't count as... and Robin went... But because we were able to laugh at it, I mean, we knew it was serious, but we were able to laugh at it, and of course then Archie and I were killing ourselves laughing because you look
my reaction.
You were mortified.
Oh, I was.
And how did you feel after the operation, then or now, only having one breast?
Well, it was fine. I knew what it was going to be, what it was going to be, and I feel grateful that they can do that. If you had to have a bit of your body removed, that would be a bit that you would get removed. You wouldn't get a hand removed or a foot removed or a leg or your nose or something like that. So it wasn't. It really didn't affect my life any.
That's a really positive way to look at it. And in terms of being a woman and femininity and your image or visual image, we all have that about ourselves in our heads. How did that affect you?
No, because I'm not a pair of boobs, and no woman is just a pair of boobs. And I think I had another person say to me that your husband might look at you differently, and I thought about that, and I thought if he thought differently, that wouldn't be my problem, that would be his, and I would think less of him if he did that, you know, because I wouldn't care whether he lost, you know, a part of his anatomy. That wouldn't bother me, because I mean, I'm not ashamed to be naked in front of him or anything like that. It doesn't worry me, or I wouldn't have done.
The more suits in the middle of the city, yes. And it sounds like you've got a very healthy sense of self and your body, and I think it's incredibly empowering, especially for a viewer watching, that you didn't take that on if that was the road it was going to go, where he adjusted how he felt or thought of you by only having one breast. You were incredibly strong about that, saying, that's not my problem. I'm happy to be alive, and this is how I've done it.
I didn't think he would have anyway. It would have bothered him anyway. And I do think sometimes if you don't accept it yourself, that can cause problems. I do think that causes problems where other people's marriages may break up. But it's really not about the breast. It's about, you know, the non-acceptance and stuff like that. So,
and maybe not coping with it or communicating completely honestly about it.
Yeah.
And I would think that you had that because you could actually laugh about it, like removing the breast and the weight. He felt so comfortable that he was able to do that.
And laughter was important. Like, it was important to laugh about it than be miserable.
Did you learn a lot about yourself in the process?
I think I did. I see the funny side of things more. Things that were really important before might not be as important now. And also I think that I would be less willing to put up with stuff that I might have put up with before. You want to live your life the way you want to live your life, not how everybody else wants you to live your life. Selfishness comes into that, but I don't know whether that's selfishness or whether it's good self-worth. Really, that's how I would probably look at it.
I think it probably comes down to perspective, because I think as women as well, we're taught to give, especially to our families, and we're often at the back of the queue. But going through this process, you've taken that focus back to you. So I certainly see it as being, you know, taking it back for you and not being selfish. It is time for you, and not necessarily being intolerant of others, but saying that isn't what I need to do for myself right now.
Yeah. But you don't sweat the small stuff.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
I laugh more.
That's good, yeah, we have laughed a lot through this, even though we've really turned a serious subject. But yeah, we have, which again shows the inspiration to our viewers, who, anybody watching now going through cancer, what would you say to them? 2 things.
Well, one of the things I think that they will realise anyway, because you go through all the sort of the horror bit at the start when you get diagnosed, but then there comes a realisation that there's nothing you can do about it. So you might as well laugh on the way. So that would be probably the main thing. Technology has moved on so far now that, you know, I know people still die of cancer, but there's such a lot of hope now. It's so advanced. Having a good attitude to it is helpful to your treatment, it's helpful to your body, it's helpful to yourself. There is actually a lot of laughter about cancer from cancer patients themselves, and I think it's because they realise that there's nothing they can do about it. They just got to go this course, and really it does become, because you can't do anything about it, you might as well have a laugh while you're going down the road. That's what I think. That's what I think.
I think it's harder on the family and the support people. Yes, Pat had to go through all the treatment and all that, and it was her life. But it's harder on the other people because they don't know how to deal with it. they're not the ones that are fighting with it. They're the ones that just have to be there and think, I could lose that person. You know, that person could maybe not be in my life. And I think that's the hard part. And I remember when I nursed my father-in-law when he was dying from liver cancer, and all the family came around and it was just dead quiet. No one could talk, and that's not what you need. And I'd taken him for a walk that morning, and there was a big hill, and I said to him, well, if you want to go quick now, I'll just, you know, let the wheelchair go and you can go, you know. And we cracked up laughing, and then the same morning there was a truck came along, and I said, oh, you know, you can tell me, and I pushed him in front of the truck. And so when all the family came and there was all the signs, I just said to Dad, shall we tell them? Shall we tell them what we were going to do this morning? And it just broke it, and the rest of the afternoon was fantastic. And it was full of fun and laughter.
So it's definitely naming it
Yes.
and making some humour in it.
Yes,
To
there has to
alleviate
be humour.
To alleviate that tenseness and the possibility of what could happen if things don't work out.
Well, that's right, and I think when you're faced with it, I think initially you're horrified, but you've got to get yourself to a place where it doesn't help you to be miserable about it, or you've got to be accepting of what's happening and just move on. You just got to move on. If you don't, it keeps everybody else down as well. And that's not the reason I moved on. I sorted it all out in my own mind and decided what I was going to do. It does help everybody else if you're more accepting.
Almost like not owning the cancer or becoming it
No,
in some way.
just work your way through it, and you know, there's an end date. You know, there's an end date, and you may get it again. I don't know if I'll get it again. I don't know, but if I do, I'll just do the same thing again. So
Because you've been there once, you know
Yes.
how to do it.
I know what I was up for. So
But I can remember the first lot of chemo that you had, and I wouldn't ring. You know, I didn't ring because of, oh my gosh, and we weren't going to go in and see her, we weren't going to do anything. And this was a perception of what chemo was like, of what we thought it was. But in actual fact, it was nothing.
What was the fear of phoning Patty and asking her?
Oh, to find out that she wasn't, you know, that she couldn't come and talk to me on the phone, and that it really was horrible. That what we had perceived, you know, that she was going to be vomiting, and that she was, you know, going to have a fever, and that she couldn't do anything. And every time I did call, you know, she's watching TV, she's normal, and I had to deal with that. I had to deal with the fact that it wasn't what I thought it was, and that she was fine. I was the one that wasn't fine.
And it's interesting, and I'd like to open this up because being on the other side of it and being a support person, obviously a very close one, was even that fear of phoning because you didn't know what to expect, because how would that affect you if Patty was not in a good place? It was the fear about how you were going to deal with that.
Yeah.
So that was what was preventing you from
I didn't want to
wanting to
know.
call.
I didn't want to hear that she wasn't in a good place, because I knew I was here, and my instincts would be to get in the car and go straight to her in Kojana. We really didn't talk a lot about my fears, and we talked about them not so long ago, and I said, you have no idea. I can't imagine my life without that. And each time she was going to have a treatment, or each time when she was coming up to have radiation, you know, I wanted to be there. And there's nothing you can do except be there.
So the whole time there was like this underlying thought of, I can't lose my best friend, I can't lose my best friend, and working your way through how you felt, and then being able to reach through to Patty. I'm still here for you, and I'm dealing with my stuff here.
Yeah. I didn't want her to know how I felt.
the treatment is not at all bad. It's not. I certainly didn't find it. You do get weaker. It's not, you know, the horrible thing that it used to be. It's just not. And you know, for anybody that's about to go through it, look to the end. You know, it's not that bad.
Stay focused and positive.
Yes.
It was great for me because I'd go down there and you know, Pat was always going for her walks. She walks so fast, that woman, and And I'd have to say to her, but you have to slow down, I can't walk as fast as you. And so it was really good because when she was having a treatment during the time, you know, she couldn't walk as fast. And so I could keep up with her.
Oh, that's brilliant. She was inspiring you.
You can always find a laugh in it. You can always find a laugh.
You always can, you know, especially you two here. Not wanting to burden Patty with how you felt, was there a point where you were able to, because you are so close and there is no judgment? Did you get to that point?
No, I stayed away from it. I'd meet her and go for walks and I'd ask her how she was going and stuff like that. But I didn't want to let her know how fearful I was. And I was fearful. But each time she went and got a test done, and I just thank God, you're going to be in my life. And that's really selfish. I think, you know, that's selfish, but I love you too much. When you go, I go. You know,
We'll be keeping the seat beside each other forever.
Yeah, keep a seat.
There was a procedure that she thought was going to be painful done at the hospital. She never told me that. And she was always waiting for this one, always watching for me coming through the door. But there wasn't one. It wasn't a painful one coming, but she thought there was. And she never told me.
Yeah.
She was just going to be there when I come through the door.
So what was your perception of Robin then through that period? If she wasn't voicing her fears, so how was she presenting to you?
She just gave me 100% support, but she always was 110.
And would you have preferred that she shared how she was feeling, or at that time, was that a time
I'm
when you
actually
needed
hearing
it?
some of this for the first time, so
Oh, wow.
she was, you know, hugely supportive. Always has been hugely supportive.
Vice versa, you've always been so supportive of me.
She just is a person who will always do the extra.
I've probably boxed myself without letting Patty know that I boxed myself.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear from Patty, how did you pick up on this, or did you realise that, you know, Robin wasn't able to be her usual honest self because she's trying to protect you as well as herself and didn't want to burden you?
I actually didn't at the time because I'd gotten over it myself. I'd already accepted and decided that, you know, I was going to look at the end date and, you know, if it came back I'd do it again. And there's not really anything else you can do. You really just need to get on with your life. So I actually didn't, but she was always there.
And I was always trying to be positive for her.
So would it have affected you if Robin hadn't been as positive? You realised that she was also in her own grief and her own fears. Would that have affected you, or
It
your
would
recovery?
have, because you don't want anybody to be sad or upset. And I wasn't myself. I mean, you know, originally when I went through all the thoughts of what could happen, and then I thought, well, I can't do anything about it. I might as well just get on with it and look at, you know, the end date. So I wouldn't have wanted anybody to be sad or upset.
I just look back over our journey through it, and your journey in particular. You were so positive. You were so, everything about your whole journey was, you were positive. And it didn't matter which way it was going to go, you were going to come out of it, whichever. But I needed to deal with that. And also, for me, that brought up a lot of when my father-in-law was dying, because I was very close to him. And so that resurrected a lot of my own stuff. And so I couldn't project that onto Patty. I did the same thing with my father-in-law. I stayed very positive for him, and then I'd go for a walk for an hour a day, and I was really angry inside. I was angry that this had happened to my father-in-law. So then when it happened to Patty as well, it actually brought up what I'd gone through with my father-in-law.
So it was like going through
So
it
it's
again.
going through it again.
Yeah.
And but it's interesting because I never once questioned my father-in-law why he had liver cancer, but I did question why this time.
Did you find any comfort, or did you find a solution to the why in your way? Because
Yeah, I think I did.
making peace with it, really.
Yeah. I made peace with it, And having Pat come through it actually helped me make peace with my father-in-law. For anyone viewing this, when I had my head shaved, it was amazing the kindness that I was shown. People would give me a seat, people would open doors for me. People were so caring because they thought, obviously I had cancer.
As a board head of a
Yes, and I think that's so sad. It shows you, I think, you know, we need to be caring about people regardless of whether they've got cancer or whether they've got, because some people can have something wrong with them and you have no idea. It's not visual, but at the same time it's extremely humbling.
And what led you to the decision where you thought, yep, Patty's going through this, she's lost her hair, I'm actually going to shave my hair?
There was no decision. It was just if she loses hers, I lose mine, you know? You know, I love her that much that I'm going to do the same thing as what she's doing. My husband was horrified. It's amazing the fear from other people. And you know, it's been so liberating. Pat said to me, look, when you lose your hair, you're going to love it. I thought, really? And she said, you can get in the shower, you know, all you have to do is let the water run off it, you know, you've got no hair to wash, no shampoo, you know. And she was right.
No bad hair days.
No bad hair days. And I will never, colour my hair again and have it long again.
So that's what
So liberating. Oh, I love it. I love who I've become. I loved Patty before, but my God, has she changed. I love this woman that turned around and will now wear a morph suit. You know, you're doing things that she would never have done before.
Because in facing the fear of death,
Yes.
everything else becomes smaller. So standing
Yes.
in a morph suit, a full lycra bodysuit in the middle of the city, was probably a lot less daunting than that.
Yes, I think it does. It changes your outlook. You don't sweat small stuff. I think I'm a happier person since I've been through it because I don't sweat the small stuff.
What do you think it is about our hair that we're so, like you said, people were horrified that you would actually voluntarily shave your hair off? What is it about our hair?
For me, I would say I would hate to not have hair permanently, but I knew it was only going to be temporary. And I knew it was just part of the process. So for me, it just didn't faze me. And I actually did find that I love not having to spend a lot of time trying to get it, you know, look.
All the time and effort, the hairdressers, the money, and then in the mornings getting ready and going out.
Yes.
So there's a lot of freedom in it.
Yes.
Do you find that something that other cancer survivors have said to you? Or that you share?
About the hair, no, but I do. There's a sense of humour with cancer patients, I think, and that I noticed, you know, during my treatment. And I think it's to do with that same kind of acceptance that you cannot do anything about it. You might as well enjoy yourself while you're going through it because you can't change it. It's not like something else that you can say, well, I'll do this or, you know, do that and that'll. There's a realisation that there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. You have to do this journey, get out the other end, and
so when
you might
you
as
do
well
get
enjoy it while you're going, or ignore it while you're going.
Yeah. So here comes the happy day where you get the good news. It's all clear.
Yes.
How are you to feel?
I kind of think through the journey, because you've been so positive, as far as you were concerned, you were coming out the other end.
Yes.
And I think by the time we almost got there was no other, it wasn't going to be any different.
No,
It
it wasn't an
didn't-
issue.
no.
Cancer was kind of not an issue. You know, by then, you know, even by the latter end
No.
of treatment, it was.
And I think probably because the last 6 weeks was the radiation, so you were coming up and Pat and I met her as many times as I could and we'd both go for our walks and stuff. It wasn't really anything.
Yeah.
Almost like a confirmation.
Yeah.
Yes, we expected that.
Yeah, it was
To
just
feel
like,
clear.
well, what did you expect? There wasn't going to be any other that was going to be the outcome. Isn't that funny? Because in the beginning it was, I'm going to lose her, and you thought, well, what's going to be is going to be. There wasn't going to be any other outcome.
So all doubt was removed.
It wouldn't worry me if it came back again. I don't know whether it will or not, but if it does, I'll just do the same thing again. I think I actually feel lucky because there are people who don't survive it with different kinds of cancer. It was an easy journey for me, and I would say that to anybody that's facing it. If you stay positive and do what you have to do, just get through it. It's not that difficult to get through it. It's not hard. My breast cancer, I don't know about other cancers, I'm only talking about breast cancer, was a very easy thing to get through from the operation to the very end. The chemo, the whole works. Advice I was given was drink lots of water, particularly after you had your chemo, and exercise as much as you can, and when you're feeling the worst, that's the best time to go out and have a walk. I certainly didn't have many. I used to have 2 off days after each treatment, and eat well. You've just got to eat well and stuff like that. And just work your way through it. Always look for the end.
Yes,
Look in your life bag, and it's not full of doctor's appointments.
And how has your friendship changed now, going on this journey together and learning so much about yourselves and coming into such positivity?
It's gone from better to better. We've always been close. I think there's just this more real sense of togetherness, especially the fact that you've changed so much. When we did the morphing, I mean, you and I just cracked up laughing. We couldn't believe we were doing it to start with, and then
that was the morphing suits that we did in the city.
Yeah, that we did in the city.
and I do have to tell you, and Robin said, she said, I don't get black suit, she got a black suit. And I still hadn't got my suit, and I said, well, all we need now is a red suit for me. And I got a red suit. That was quite funny.
Because I wouldn't have done it without Pat, and Pat wouldn't have done it without me. And we just, but we can, we laugh. Yeah.
It was a great day.
Oh,
it was a lot of growing, learning and stepping out.
And just I felt totally humbled by the stories that I heard from some of the women.
I wasn't aware of what it was, the whole thing was going to be.
Yeah, the other stories that were there. Yeah.
And I think seeing Pat's cards just totally blew me away.
As we wrote our stories on the cards and held them up.
And the fact that, she wrote 2 breasts mean death, 1 breast means life. I chose life. Oh wow, that just blew me away. I don't sweat the small stuff anymore.
Yeah, there were very teaching words. I think when I saw them on your cards, it was, these are the facts, and this is how I got through it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Beautiful, beautiful ladies. Thank you for sharing today. Thank you so much. Very brave, both of you.
Oh, I think you are. I wouldn't be without you in my life ever. I'm blessed. I think we're both blessed.
Yeah. I think so too.
Yeah.
So thank you for watching today. This has been a very beautiful story and very, touching my heart. Thank you. And if you have a journey that you're going on, you can take inspiration from this and just keep looking to the end, keep looking to the future. There is always hope. So you can go to our website to watch this interview, or if you want more information, which is www.1000women1000ways. And we are now also available on podcast if you'd like to watch the full-length interview. It's available on Podbean. So we'll see you next time. Thank you for watching.